This is the Oakwyn Podcast, featuring Morgan Browne and Michael Yu.
Welcome everyone back to the Oakwyn Podcast. I'm Morgan Browne. I'm here with
Arlene Chiang.
and our amazing
Podfather? I'm a producer, but I'm the Podfather. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We are here, guys. I'm so excited because we actually get to have 4 episodes with Arlene.
I am the apprentice on these next 4. I am not Michael Yu.
Oh yeah, where is he?
Michael Yu is taking a paternity leave.
He had a baby, people. That is right.
That's right.
Sophie, the Princess of Oakwyn. She is born and healthy and beautiful.
Wait, didn't you have a baby too?
Oh yeah, I had a baby too.
Oh yeah, I forgot you had a baby
10 weeks ago, people. And guess what? I'm here, not Michael.
That's right. It must be harder to be a dad than a mom.
Must be harder,
yeah, right?
This is a good segment into what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about motherhood.
And I think what a lot of people ask us about is, how do you do it? How do you work? How are you working mother? How are you handling? How do you juggle being an entrepreneur and not feel baby guilt or guilt at all?
Yeah, so we're going to dig in and just unpack what our experiences are. No right answers here. I think that's the most important lesson for everybody.
Yeah, and that's the truth. I think first of all, how amazing is it that me and Mike had a baby at the same time? That's pretty cool.
It's amazing and also very annoying.
Arlena's taken the captain lead into the taking care of Oakwyn for the last couple of months. And we're so excited you are the reason why this company is what it is. Let's just get this straight. Everyone else, I hope you know that. But it's been actually quite relaxing to know that I think Mike has had a little bit of time off too, in a weird way.
It is, but I'm also, and we were joking about this before he had the baby. We were just excited for him to understand what we were going through as working moms, to understand all of the extra things that
go through our heads
and the no sleep and all of that.
Responsibilities and like the guilt because although Mike is very perceptive and he likes to listen and have some empathy for us for sure when we talk about it to him, I don't think you really understand parenthood until you go through it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And I think
so now he's going through it.
But I feel like the only thing is when you speak to a dad, I don't feel like they have the vulnerability as women. Like when you say like, how is it going? And they're like, oh, it's great. They're sleeping and I'm like, oh, really? But then really in the mother's mind is, really? Tell me really how it's been.
Well, you're a dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of mornings where my wife wakes up and she's like, oh man, it was a tough night. And I'm like, what do you mean? I thought it was an okay night. And she goes, you didn't wake up like the 5 times that he was screaming his face off. And I'm like,
yes,
I guess I'm just a really good sleeper.
That happened to me the last couple nights because we went to Tofino, came back, and then we were like readjusting kind of everything. And I think Lenny stayed up pretty much like he was waking up every hour, just like hungry, cluster feeding, just trying to figure out everything. And Sean completely slept through the night.
Yeah.
But now I think he knows me so well, being with me for like many years, that I like looked at him and he was like, I'm going to take Lenny downstairs. Will you take a couple hours to sleep? Because he knows I'm like looking, I'm like, are you kidding me? You're just sleeping? And just so you know, no woman in their right mind is looking behind them saying, oh, I hope they're having a great sleep during this. We're looking back at you looking like, I hate you.
Yep, that's
help
absolutely
me right
true.
now.
Or help me.
Yeah.
Help me, I'm alone.
I would say that the 2 things that me and my wife fight about, there's only 2 things ever.
Yes.
Number 1 is money. Number 2, sleep.
Sleep and money are always the 2.
So much sleep shame in our family. Anytime somebody gets a good night's sleep, it's like, oh, I hope that was a great night's sleep for you.
Well, there is so many challenges with being a parent overall, but we're just going to talk a little bit about motherhood, how we balance it, some drawbacks, some of the things that we have to tell people to consider when even having a kid, just in general. And hopefully there can be a little bit of a takeaway from this episode. But I'm excited to be back here with Arlene.
So am I. I'm excited to have my partner in crime.
Woo, woo, and our podfather. Let's get to it. Woo. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to the Oakwyn podcast. If you've enjoyed this podcast and you'd like to get some more information about our office at Oakwyn Realty, please go to oakwyn.com/join and enter into that box pod 2021. And you will receive something beautiful, a mystery piece of Oakwyn swag. That's right. We got some new swag online right now, some of our black gear that's coming out for spring and summer. So feel free to go ahead and put that into our promo code, and you will be meeting with one of our amazing Oakwyn leadership team. Thanks so much.
Okay.
So, Arlene
Morgan.
First of all, you were the first one out of the three of us that had kids, and we watched from afar.
Yes.
So just for everyone to know, every time we open an office at Oakwyn, one of us is having a kid. That's like one of the ground rules.
It really is.
So what happens now that we're like, Mike is going to have like tons of kids. Like,
well, that's his plan. That's his plan.
He wants to, but so little fun fact. To talk about like how old your kids are and when
okay, fun fact. I was pregnant when we first opened our very first office. This is back on Canby Street in our 1,000 square foot shoebox. And I was doing conveyancing. I conveyed the properties, everybody. And I had my feet up, a big tummy. I had my big gulp on the side. And Mike was like, "Why are you drinking a big gulp? That's so unhealthy." And I was like, because I really feel like I want and need this big gulp right now.
Now he gets it. Now he understands it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So I was pregnant at that time when we were in that office.
So now Lucas is turning 8.
Turning 8. So that's how we know how old Oakwyn is because I had him when we first started.
Yeah. So it's his big birthday coming up actually. And that's whenever we know like it's Oakwyn birthday too. It was a big time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. And then with Kate, she's 4 years old right now. And we were opening this location. HQ. So I was putting together chairs and we were opening up this location.
Yes. I remember you it was funny because with the second one, Arlene came back like T-minus like 2 weeks. So I don't feel that bad this time around. And even though she's saying it, she was like 2 months.
It was pretty quick.
That's still crazy.
It's like me.
It was quick.
It's the same thing. I feel like even though you're like, oh, I should have taken more time off. Well, actually you went really full for it. Like she was back in the office.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet.
So that was a piece of advice. Take your time coming back. I would say in retrospect, and that's some advice I shared with you is, you don't get that time back. You don't get that time back. So take it if you can, and enjoy it. And I don't think there's anything to feel guilty about.
No.
It's only the pressure that you put on yourself. And so that's kind of, what I passed on to Morgan when she had, because I think you put a ton of pressure when you had your first.
My first one, yes.
We had your first when we opened downtown.
Yeah, so my first one came in when we opened downtown, little Quinn. And that was it's funny that office is a 5-star, just like my child. So that's funny. But yeah, it was a lot of pressure to come back. We had the Christmas party, we actually had our retreat and then our Christmas party right at the later half of the year. And I wanted to be there. It was like FOMO, missing out. And I've always looked back at that moment being like, should I have pushed myself to go, be part of these key things? I don't have any regrets at all because I think that a little bit helped me as well in the sense of knowing that my child wasn't going to die if I wasn't there. Like, do you know what I mean? Like sometimes like moms are like, we can't go because the kid is, because like
something's going to
happen. But you still have to take, like one of my pieces of advice is make sure that you don't lose who you are in the mix, like take a second, reflect who you are, even myself, like 10 to 15 days after I had my second Lenny, which now we're opening a North Vancouver office.
Exactly.
I was going to ask, there's another
Which
office here,
yes,
isn't there?
Yeah, North Vancouver.
Well, technically, there should be 2, right?
There is.
Oh.
There actually, this is the funny thing.
Phase 1 and phase 2.
Yes, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
So there's a part
what is
1
going on?
and a part 2. I know.
Eerie.
I know. It's so
very,
rare.
very
We have good luck. Good luck. And we have, so we have 2 offices, part 1, which will be hopefully coming out at the end of August or September. And then we have part 2 coming in the next
fall
year.
2020,
Fall
2022.
And that's a neighboring unit. We don't get possession until a little bit later. So people have to wait for that big office. But it was the first time I had my kid, I luckily had you, Arlene, honestly, because I didn't know what to do. I was like, because you, as a working mother, as someone like us we really love what we do.
Yeah.
We wake up and we jump out of bed. And I think a lot of people that listen to this podcast, you do too, right? You all really want to help people. You enjoy being busy. You enjoy having purpose, right? And I think a lot of mothers and a lot of moms and new moms, they think that you have to pick.
Yeah. What did that go through your mind that you felt like you had to pick between?
I did. I think you at one point have to say like, can I be 100%? Mm-hmm. And I think you said to me, you're never going to be 100%. Like you're going to have to, like, you were like, you can't be 100% there and miss out on that. You have to be able to balance it. Right?
Yeah.
Or you said there's no such thing as balance.
I did.
Like
I said it's true. That's like a foreign, I think that's a concept that people think that there should be. But at the end of the day, it's whatever you're content with.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that ideal of like this ideal balance that you're going to have in your life, it's not like you're one person when you're at home and you're one person when you're at work. You're like the same person all the time.
Yes, especially in real estate.
Especially in real estate, because your phone is tethered to you. And I don't know how many times my husband wanted to throw it out of the car, but it's part of who we are.
It
right.
is.
And so I think you have to get over that, like that kind of like, there's this focus on having a balance and a perfect
perception too, right?
Yeah. Cause it's just not
It's
true.
like the same. Yeah, you can't, like, that was a good point when you said that. You're like, you can't balance. And then I realized, like, for me, it was more about them competing against each other. And I realized they can't compete. They have to coexist together. They have to be together for me to be 100%. And I think that was like the best learning lesson in my, my first being a new mother was don't overextend yourself. Just know that you can be there for both in your own way, and don't have too much, shame. What is it? Shame?
I think it's guilt, right? I think that's the big, I think you're going to feel that no matter who you are. You're going to feel guilty if you're with your child and you're missing out on an event or missing out on contributing in some way to your work, or vice versa. You're at work, but you're thinking about your kid, or thinking about, I'm a bad mom, or, you know.
Oh my God. But we're really lucky though, because Arlene and I have, and I think a lot of people in our industry, they find partners that really work, right? So that kind of goes into the next thing, which is how we've been able to manage. And I think one of the big things for both of us is we have incredible husbands and partners, right?
Incredible partners. That's like number one is it's who you choose to be in with.
Did you ever have a conversation with Doug about that, where you're like, okay, I'm very busy, we're having a baby. Like, did you ever, or were you just like, he's going to win with it? Where you're like, he's going to do it.
Did you have like you're going to have to step up here kind of combo?
No, I think he intuitively knew we fell into our roles very seamlessly in a sense, you kind of know. I mean, for me, I always knew when I was going to marry anybody that the number one, trait for me was, were they going to be a good father?
Yeah.
And I think because I knew in myself that I'm going to be a very busy person, and so I need a partner who is going to be present and good and be a great father to our children, because I know myself. I know I'm going to be working 10 hours and it doesn't bother me. I'm that type of person. Right. And so in my mind, that's what I wanted to have in a partner. And that's who I have now. Is Doug is an amazing father, and he's so great. And I'm a horrible partner. I'm a horrible partner to him, but you know
what? So that's tip number one, guys. Find a guy that's going to be a good father.
Yeah.
Or, vice versa, whatever, partner
or knows you.
That's the big thing. Knows you.
Yeah.
I think you'd never have to have like that conversation if you kind of like this is how it's going to go, you know?
Yeah. Did you have a conversation with Sean about what it was going to be about parenthood?
When I'm like bringing this up, I remember this moment when I was like 23 or something, when we first were like dating, and I got all my like, you better step up moments out before kids. Like it was very a weird thing because I'm so people that know me, I'm not premeditated, but I do have goals. Like, you know, I've always had like big goals, right? So at 21, I was thinking about 35. Like I was always thinking very far ahead. And so when I remember sitting on the beach of English Bay with him, and I was like, this is the time for when you change from a boyfriend to a husband. And I just kind of said to him, I'm like, I'm looking for my husband, which means I need a great a father in my life. And he knew that he knows me so well that's because I want the best, right? I always want the best of everything. And I think he was really, he's so naturally like that though. I mean, you're right. It's just, you find a good mate. He's way better than me. Everyone, I've said this enough. My husband is better.
Our husbands are both better.
They're better than us, guys. Okay. I told that to someone today. I was like, I don't know how I got this guy. I don't know how I got this husband to buy. I won the lottery or something. But he's always been, he has an amazing father that's very present.
Yeah.
Same with Doug.
Yeah.
In the sense that they're always there. And I think when you find someone that has that kind of same lineage in their family, it's kind of not to say expected, but they just know that that's a role that's really special.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think, number one is being, knowing yourself, right? Yeah. But then having either that conversation or knowing from your partner what you need from them to be successful at parenting.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's the first step, I think, is because it's the two of you who are in it together and you are responsible for a life, which is insane. So, I remember the first time putting your baby in the car, you're just like,
oh my gosh,
oh my God, I don't know how to drive anymore. You're like, that first ride home, you're like, I
just remember being so excited.
So scared.
I'm so excited to get the hell out of that.
Nobody better run into me. And you're like, I'm following all the speed. I'm not doing any yellow lights, like everything, right? Because you're like, you realize like you're bringing you're bringing
it's not
a
about
life.
You guys anymore. Yeah. It's about exactly all of the whole family. Yeah. Which is great. Do you think that, one of the big things is Doug stayed home with the baby for the first year.
He did.
Right?
Yeah. So he took the paternity leave, and we made that decision together. And even after, he changed his work schedule to a split work schedule. So he stayed, 2 days. So he worked 3 days on and 2 days off.
Beautiful.
And that just enabled us to have an easier time. Like it was easier for me to continue to work at the level that I wanted to and needed to continue, growing Oakwyn, right?
Yeah, that's such he was always there. And that, I think that's a big part of it. Same with Sean. He took a whole year off for the first year and he was present the whole entire time. And it was probably the best year because we got to spend some time with our kid. And now having Lenny, he actually changed careers so that he would be more kind of a sole proprietor, so that he could be home at those moments, right, when he needed to be, which I think this is a big part of it. It's not just about you ladies. And that's just what I'm trying to say is that it's not just about you
making sacrifices or things like that. Yeah. This is kind of the new era of fatherhood even. Yeah, exactly. Michael taking these 2 months or, maybe probably would have.
We're laughing, guys, because we don't think he's ever going to come back.
He might never come back. Who knows? But yeah,
Michael's 100% always on whatever it is. So we got to figure out a way to tent him back into this space and then he'll come back in full time. No, I think you always have to, you're making sacrifices. That's the big thing. And I think as a team, and that's right. That's the big part of it.
And speaking of teams, that's the other thing you need. Your support network has to be there.
Yeah, that's true.
I asked my mother and father-in-law if I should have a third kid because I couldn't do it if they were not on board.
That's amazing. And I love how everyone, see, your herd team is, and that's where we can say there's teams on both sides. Yes. Like whether you're in your resale side and you're actually just building your business and you need a partner or some sort of support, an administrative assistant. And then there's a team of your family. Can I do this? and manage this and not feel any guilt because they're with someone that they love, right? During the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And how did that go?
They said, well, it'd be nice, but, and so, I was like, okay, we really have to think about this because they're getting older. And if they're not going to be available to help out as much as they have been, then maybe it's not fair, or maybe, it's really great right now. So maybe I don't need a third baby, But
are you still thinking about it?
No, you're
done.
I think I'm done now.
You're like, it's Doug and Arlene's time.
Yeah, I think Doug would love that. I think Doug is ready for that. He's like, he's like, maybe a dog. I'm like, no, there's going to be no dog here.
No dog here. A fish.
But what do you need to do for yourself? Because I think you're a great example of how you can still be working in real estate and still be doing deals while being
great.
Well, see, 10 weeks in. So how did you manage that side though for the resale, for the agents?
So different. I would say like the first baby, I didn't feel as prepared. I was really wanting to still continue to be that powerhouse that I was, whether it was in Oakwyn or in my resale team. I was really like, again, ladies, like FOMO. I was feeling really a lot of pressure to do it all. And there was times where I cracked, I'm going to be very vulnerable about this piece. I was like, this is a lot.
Yeah.
I'm running to clients, I'm running to meetings. We were dealing with franchising. I did a day of that, and I was breastfeeding full time. I didn't want to give up that. So it was a really tough time to do that. And this time around, I did it right. And I learned from that. I think I want people to take from this is that you don't need to do it all, and you just need to be really organized. So one thing I did right away was I geared with my resale team. I got an incredible powerhouse administrative assistant to be honest, you have to pay well and you get great. I'm going to give you that tip right now, women. You don't want to do part-time, just do full-time, all or nothing. So that was a big part for me, is the support of an administrative assistant. Mm-hmm. She's able to run everything, whether it's completions, possessions, marketing pieces, docu-signing listings, all that kind of stuff that you guys are thinking about that you're scared that you're not going to be able to do. Yeah. And guess what? You're not going to be able to do it on time and as fast. So get someone to help you, because that is like a game changer, everyone. And then having some sort of licensed cohort or, partner
or somebody's going to,
Desi came through who's my partner. Desiree came in with me for both pregnancies. She literally is why I feel like I had so much breath in both of to grow my family. But this time around, it was really honest. We talked about, what the expectations are, and if I'm going to need to bring somebody else on for her to be happy, because the first time around, she was overworked.
Right.
She was like tired.
Yeah.
She had a lot of resentment to me. She told me after, I really didn't like you. I held a lot of resentment. So this time around, we got another team member on, Donovan, so that we lightened the load. Yeah. And we kept it really cool, and everyone had freedom in the summer, and everyone felt dialed in when they needed to. And that's the biggest piece of advice I could give anybody that's
you don't need to do it all.
You don't do it all. And I don't at the same time, you don't also have to make it all. Like, there's a big part of that is like, you run yourself like crazy and you work and you make money and but then you feel like you have to keep up that pace.
Right.
Just settle down. I think try and take off 3 to 6 months if you can.
Yes.
Babies change very quickly. I would not be able to be here today if she was 3-4 weeks. There's just no way. But my baby's now 10 weeks. It's 2.5, and she's napping now, and she can take the bottle, and there's a lot more freedom to that.
Yeah.
So I think for people that are thinking about having a family and that want to do it all, just give yourself some time, and so you can structure, so you can come back and do the things you need to do.
I agree.
So I think that's my big team. And then on my other side of the team, my husband stayed home with me. And that was a huge blessing, to be honest. And this time around, he's pretty much full to part-time work, but he has more flexibility. And that was the big thing. And I think a lot of people that do it well is their partners have flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to agree with you there.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's a very interesting mix about having a resale team. I find that I get a lot of people coming to me when they're just about to have a baby, and I get really freaked out about telling their clients.
I remember you said that I never, and maybe this is just me as usual, I never had that feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, I was still doing open houses, and when we first started Oakwyn, now I'm mostly just brokering and managing and things like that. But when I was pregnant with Lucas, I was 9 weeks, big, popping, and I was still doing an inspection. I was like, I could pop right now.
Yeah, this could happen.
This could happen right now. And the
baby's here.
Buyers were happy and I'm happy, and I'm just like, ha, 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 ha. And I'm like, oh, but I never really thought that. Did clients actually feel uncomfortable that I was going to have a baby? It just never crossed my mind.
You know what? The first time around, I was like really scared, not even scared to tell them, but I was luckily, to be honest, I was like, I just wore a pregnancy well. People weren't like, I was like wearing.
Morgan is the most stylish pregnant person ever.
No, but the second time around, I was in pain and asked
you had a hard pregnancy. Yeah.
And it was like a totally different game changer. But what I realized in the process is that we are the only ones that care.
See?
We're the only ones that care. And if you don't feel comfortable, and this is what I was telling to one of our Oakwynites here, if you don't feel comfortable telling them when the baby's going to be born, because I think it's a timeline thing that everyone freaks out about. When's the baby going to come?
Yeah. I've got whatever happening, and 2 buyers, I've got a listing, and now the baby's like the inconvenience.
It's the inconvenience.
Right.
So you don't have to really, what I found was easier for me. Like when I went on a listing presentation or something, I would say, they'd be like, when is it due? When are you due? And I'd be like, I'd say it by season. Fall.
Oh, that's
winter.
a good one.
Because then they're like, it could be 3 months, wherever it is. And it depends on how much you hold it, right? But I would say that helped the agent I was telling about. And then I also said, as soon as you meet the client, if they're public facing, or even just like your old client, they expect a lot out of you. I had some of those that were very challenging, but you just bring your partner in on everything.
Yeah.
Tie them in. They are you, you are them. Even if they're not acting to be you at that time, the client feels more comfortable knowing their support's there.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
But that's a really big thing. And I've lost clients from people being like, oh, you're pregnant. I don't really, I want someone that can work a little harder than you. And they expect that. And the first thing that runs through my head is, I don't want to work with you.
Exactly.
Who the heck are you?
Yeah. It's such
you don't even know.
Old boys club, like law firm kind of mentality, like.
Right?
Are you on partner track or are you on baby track?
Are you on baby track or partner track?
I have a friend who works at a law firm that actually was a conversation they had.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Wanted to have her second baby and they're like, well, are you on partner track or baby track?
Yeah. And, it's the truth.
So
and
she did both.
She did both. Exact Goku. But I have a client who's one of the partner, trying to be partner at her law firm, and she's just had her first baby. This is a woman who she may be listening to this because she's so cool. And she is just this like pint-sized, like 4'8", like tiny, triathlon, like powerhouse. Like every time I'd see her to show the property, she'd bike to the showing. She's so cool. She's from Strathcona. She's super cool.
All the cool people.
All the cool people.
And then when she had the baby, I texted her being like, she's like, I heard you're having a baby. I was like, oh, that's great. And she goes, I'm having a baby too. I was like, when do you have it? She's like, I had it 2 weeks ago and I'm right back at work. But she's the type of person that can handle it. And this is what I want to talk about. Capacity. Because we talk about this a lot. I want everyone to never have any guilt of what you can handle.
Comparison.
There's no right way.
And there's no right way. There's no comparing.
No.
There's no...
And the second you put yourself into that comparison, you will lose people. You will lose.
Yes.
Because I will tell you, I was walking down the street the other day and I saw 2 neighborhood mommies. And I was there with Lenny and I was wearing her on my chest and Quinn was running and I was walking down the block and it's chaos. And the moms come up to me and they're like, oh, are you still working? are you like asking me very, intimidating questions, right?
Interesting.
And I was like, and then she goes, are you putting your kid into preschool? Oh, like what type of preschool? I can't be bothered to bring my kid all the way over there. I have to be close. These are state. And what I'm trying to say is when they were judging me, I kept on thinking to myself, I'm not looking at you any other way. We're all the same equal mothers in this whole picture of what you think should be perfect. But the second you start putting that on other people, it doesn't reflect well on you.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
It's a hard thing for everybody. It's not easy for anybody. And it's going to be joyous at points for everybody. It's
going to be hard. Sometimes it's going to be easy sometimes. And people are just,
Yeah. So there's no right way. That's what I'm trying to say. There's no right way of doing it. And I think you choose your own path. But what I was going to say is some people like myself and you, Arlene, we drive at a very high level, like our speed. And it just naturally.
It's just
a natural thing who we are. Yeah. We really just.
People tell me to calm down. Mike's like, I don't know why you can't just sit. And I'm like, I can't sit. I don't know. Even my husband at home, it's the same. It's not like it's only because it's here. My husband's like, I'll sit down on the couch for like 20 minutes
and then cleaning.
And then I'm like, I'll get up and start cooking or cleaning and then I'll move on to the next thing. And he's just like,
that's so funny. Sean's the same way. He thinks that every time I'm at home for too long, he says that I have a fear of looking like I'm being trapped.
Wow.
Cause I'm just really that person. I like to move around. So, Arlene, as soon as I had Lenny, I was already taking walks and I was calling Arlene. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just walking. I'm like walking around the neighborhood because I can't sit still. But everyone has their own capacity in their way. And some people have this massive breath that they want to take a lot on.
And some moms have a really hard time after they have that wasn't our experience, you know, but postpartum and those other things are real. Right. And so, if people need to take that time and, need extra help, or you can't judge them. You can't say that, or even sometimes you can't even give advice. Like,
no way.
Even right now, Mike's wife and I'm just like, I'm in there. I'm like, oh, you should. And I'm just like, I want to be helpful, but I know she's the mom, but I'm like, oh, maybe you just,
so awkward.
Maybe
it's so hard.
But it's so hard because
really hard.
I think everyone does it their own way is the point
that's
too,
the point.
Right?
Yeah. And some people can do like what I'm trying to say is also like there's a lot of people that take mat leaves for 18 months now, right?
Yeah.
They can take up to I think it's 18 months now. They're 12 to 18 now. And some people are taking like the full bang. You just have to, I think realtors, we have to love what we do to do what we do.
Yes.
Because it's rejection, it's
highs, it's lows.
So we're going to be a little bit more quick to jump back into it because already your capacity is really high. But the people that are doing the mat leaves and all that, they work their asses off all for whatever company or whatever you could be a teacher or nurse or whatever it is. And just let them have that, let them, everyone has their own capacity. Don't be a part of that judge posse. Just make sure that you don't compare yourself to these people. And so I had this conversation with a realtor, one of our Victoria agents, and she said to me, I got questioned by all my friends, like, how much time are you taking off? How much time are you taking off? And she felt so like she didn't feel good. She didn't feel good to say like 2 weeks or 3 months because she didn't want to lose the business of people that she was friends with. And then she didn't want to say a year because she didn't, because
she didn't want to be out of touch with the market. Right. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like being a realtor and being an agent, it's so different than earning a steady income,
That's right.
And so, you want to maintain your business because you don't know necessarily when your next paycheck is coming in, right? So being mindful of preparing really well for that time that you need to take off or that you should be taking off is going to be really important, right? And then, for people to kind of put that on you it can be, I never thought of it that way.
It's tough. Yeah. So she's like, what would you say? And I said to her, just tell them that you'll tell them after you have the baby. Like you don't even know. Arlene and I always laugh because people don't really realize, like, and this, Brandon, you don't know what you're going to get.
You don't know what type of baby you're going to get.
That's right.
You could have this baby that is super good and chill, or you can have one that has gas, or you know what I mean? You can have really fussy, colicky. My friend had a colicky baby.
Yeah.
She screamed for 3 months.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't know. So I don't think people really, you could just, I told her, don't just tell her we don't, maybe I'll tell you after I have the baby. I don't know.
Yeah.
See how long it goes, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then I've seen the other side where some of the ages think that they're going to come right back, and then they fall in love, and they, you know, they need more time.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest message Arlene and I are trying to say is take your time, read it, whatever, be present during it.
And that I think is a big one, present, because
we need to do that more
I am very, very bad at this. This is, you know, a failure, so to speak, is being present because you're on your phone so much as an agent. It's just the nature of the business. When your kids are asking you a question and they always tell mom, get off your phone, get off your phone, get off your phone, get off your phone. You know, like, I'm just trying to help somebody right now. An agent needs my help. And they're just, you know, and so you can set up new boundaries, right? So I have a little bit, I'm out of that newborn phase. We're in a little bit older. And so we have, you know, no device Sundays, and that's for everybody in the family. Right. So I like that. All of us, the kids are not allowed on their devices. I'm not allowed. And they're like, the whole day. They're like, okay, mom, you're allowed to have 3-minute calls. That's it. That's as long as you can talk on the phone on Sundays.
I know you only get back to me once in a while.
Yeah. I have to like bulk it because that's our rule. Right. Because, you know, I realize that I'm not present with them a lot of the time during the week, or if I'm, you know, helping people and stuff like that. And so at the very least, I need to set a good example and say, okay, I'm going to give you Sundays, no device day, and we're just doing family stuff, we're drawing, we're doing whatever activities, right? Because you have to start to create those other boundaries to help you manage your life as professional and as mother, right? So
you do. So do you find that so we talked a lot about having a family, newborns and everything. How about being consistent with having a growing family, different schools, do you have any tips on that for people that are just trying to manage a career while doing that?
Yeah. I think I went through a hard time feeling the pressure of needing to make certain meetings every day. So I really wanted to do drop off, like at least just drop off. And I was like, and I had to do 2 drop-offs, right? Or I had to make sure, I had to do 2 drop-offs. So my day actually couldn't start until 9:30 because I would be done the 2 drop-offs at that point. But everyone wanted to book 8:00 appointments, 8:00. And I'm like, that's when I'm getting the kids ready and I'm doing and I was thinking, okay, in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to drop off this kid first and then drop off that kid. And Morgan's like, just drive them to school. Just drive them to school. You don't need to, we will work around what you need to do.
That's
you know?
And
I was like,
she was
really?
Like, she was really spinning. And I was like, that makes no sense at all. Like at all. Like this is why we do what we do.
Yeah.
It's to be our own boss of where we are, what we're doing. Right. And I think that's the big thing is like, you're right. You try to compromise.
I do. Yeah. I try to fit everything in all the time. Right. And I'm like,
and the funny thing is she never even told us until I heard this like rant that she was trying to talk about. I was like, oh, you just need to just take it. This is like one time you need to do for the kids. And you did it the whole year.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Just take the kids to school. Nothing starts until 9:30.
Yeah. We moved everything around, which is the way to go. And I think don't feel like that's a big lesson to a lot of people. Don't feel like you're going to disappoint anybody. Like do what's right for your family.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you know, you do all of this, you know, or you work so hard to provide for your family because you enjoy it, but really to hopefully give your family and yourselves a better life. Right. And so, you know, don't forget about them.
Yeah, you really do. It's and enjoy those moments for sure. That was probably one of my the biggest things that I did with Quinn when we took that like month off to Europe.
Yeah.
And we went for it's 11 months. It was like 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks or something like that. And we went to Europe when he was 11 months old. And it was like kind of like, should I go back? And I just said, this is like the only time I'm going to do this, you know? And we have these pictures on this digital screen in my house, like that just constantly come up. And I thank God for that trip that I took out. And I really put them first. And I think when your kids are growing up, you realize how precious those moments are.
And I hear it only gets harder. So I've talked to a lot of our agents who have older teenage kids, and they're like, Arlene, you think you need time when they're young, when they're newborns? Not now. Like,
really?
You have to be more in tune with what your kids are doing. Look at how much their influence they have. I'm like,
oh my,
gosh. And so, she
said 3 to us earlier.
I know it's a never ending journey. It's a never ending journey, but I don't know. I think it's fun.
It is fun.
Right?
It is fun. Well, hopefully we gave a little bit of insight to people about having a family, working mothers, our truth.
Our experiences.
Experiences. Let's go through some key takeaways that we talked about today. So some tips. One is be as present as possible. Be as present as possible.
Bing, bing, bing.
For sure. For your kids, for your family. Second is have a team. That doesn't just mean your family team and your resale team, like your resale and your family team. So have a team set up. Strategize and have that kind of as a clear mission for the whole group on who's doing what, so that you can give yourself a little bit more allowance. 3 is to be kind to yourself, which is just tying right into it. Be kind to yourself. Know that there's no right way. Know that you are trying your best.
Exactly.
One. And 4, which is a very big key takeaway, which is set your boundaries. Make sure you set your boundaries for your personal, your professional life, so that you can just be a happy self.
You got it.
That's great. Thanks so much, guys, for listening. If you've liked our podcast today, feel free to rate us 5 out of 5 on that Google review.
And make sure that it's a huge 5 out of 5 because Arlene is better than Michael as a co-host.
Okay, hear that, guys?
Yeah, put that in the comments.
Put it in the comments, people, so we can have some brother-sister rivalry over here.
Who wants Arlene on all the
time? He's going to be like, okay, fine. Feel free to rate us out 5 out of 5 on that Google review if you've liked it, or even just add in some information of what you guys would like to hear for our next episodes. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for listening to the Oakwyn Podcast. And until next time.